Welcome back. It's the third Saturday of the month. It's another episode of TVGP's Game Club. This time we're talking about 2022's Immortality. I'm your host, Boston, playing this on the Series X. I'm joined as always by Moonpair.
Howdy, also Series X. Can we rename this episode to Experience Club?
Yes, yes, that's right. And Musum.
I am also playing it on the Series X.
Nice. Word of note here, that's all you get without spoiling. If you haven't played Immortality, literally everything else in the rest of this episode is going to be a spoiler. If you have been interested in Immortality, please go play it. It is on Game Club. No, it's on Game Club. You're saying that right now. It's on Game Pass as well. Branding. You can go play it there. Please play it with a controller. Please don't play it with the mouse and keyboard. And go enjoy it. And we'll see you in hopefully under 10 hours. Okay, we're back. Hit the clapper. Scene 16, Charlie. Clap. Let's talk about the details on the game. Released August 30th, 2022. Published by Half Mermaid Productions. Published by Netflix themselves on the mobile versions. Developed by Sam Barlow. Not just the guy, but that's the name of his team as well. Came out on series consoles, PC, iOS, and Android. Hold on, let me scroll my document here. Let's talk about time travel. Metacritic and OpenCritic both have this at an 88. Peers for this release date, which is at the time of this recording not too long ago. Inscription came out on consoles. Soul Hackers 2. Moon's favorite game of the year, Saints Row. Cult of the Lamb, and 2 Point Campus. This is a more recent release than maybe we usually talk about on the show, but we'll still ask the question of, when this game came out, was it top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
Top of the pile, everybody's talking about this. That might just be the particular circle of people I follow. One of the people I follow was also a writer of this game, or one of the writing team involved with this game.
Yeah,
So,
I follow Natalie Watson on Twitter, and she's like the lead producer on the game.
one.
Yeah, so she's rightly been talking about it a lot.
I'm living under a rock, so this was entirely overlooked in my life. I had not heard of it until you guys picked it. So
yeah, I'm actually going to vote for middle of the pack, because I think if you're in Waypoint adjacent, you've probably heard a lot about this. But if not, I think you have probably heard it's the weird 3-movie FMV game. And I think for a lot of people, that's like poison in their mouth. So it shouldn't be. You should check this game out. All right, let's get into the meat here. Talk about what we liked, what we didn't like about Immortality. Who would? Moon already has his mouth open. Go ahead, Moon.
I want to get a temperature feel for this throughout my co-hosts. Can we just get a hot or cold or middle rating, please? Because I have some things to say about this, and I don't want to spoil the milk, so to say.
Okay, so for me, this is the hottest of hot. It's a 10 out of 10 hottest banger. This game has problems, but hot, super hot. Super hot.
I'm probably middle. I really liked it, and I liked a lot of its potential, but I wish it went further than it did.
Okay.
Okay, so we literally have the full spread, because I absolutely despise this game.
Oh no! Wow. Okay.
Wow. Oh boy. Okay. So I'll go first. Let's get the negative out the way first, because there are things that I can appreciate about this game. If you know me, you know I tend to look on the positive side of things, and I tend to look for the gold in everything. I'm literally playing the Saints Row reboot and calling it an above-average game. So that should tell you everything you need to know. The game has a lot. Musum used the right word. Potential is the right word. When you first start the game, it is directionless, it is annoying, it is convoluted and complicated in how to actually get into the game. I get it. There's a lot of secret stuff in this game. I know a lot of that stuff as well. That is a slightly redeeming factor in a game that I do not like the controls of. I do not like the methodology that it uses to tell its story. I don't like the photo focusing thing, especially with some of the things that you can focus on. There was some very graphic content in here, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no problem with graphic content depicted in my media. When you can take a screenshot of it and search for things similar to it, that's when it gets a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think there's some things. This is a largely sexually charged game. There's not much violence. I not really of any kind of serious consequence. It's all like very clearly like movie prop stuff. But I agree with you. Like, we're not Puritans or anything on the show. But I think there were some instances where it's like, I probably can't, dive into this part of that frame. Oh, I can. Okay. Sure.
I mean, I don't know. Nothing on it was like, it's not like you were clicking on like female body parts or something, right? Like it's all faces.
Yeah, you can.
It's all. No, I don't.
That's really my issue. Is there are times where you can, and like it makes sense because it's going to connect to a different scene in a different movie. But like, it's not the world's largest problem, but it's sort of like, all right.
Oh, yeah. I'll take your guys' word for it. Like the last like couple days of gameplay, like I've literally just been opening things and moving the cursor everywhere to see if it'll get anything, and I had not noticed any female body parts. It had just let me do like furniture, faces, and wounds, weapons, whatnot, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. I will give the game credit where it's due. Did you guys match cut the quill?
Say that again.
The quill?
Did you guys match cut the quill?
I don't think
Ambrosio?
so. No.
When you match cut the quill, it takes you to a different movie, and it's someone holding a pen, which is a nice little touch.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
I think I did that one. I did not get all the scenes though. I tried, and
so far away from all the scenes, it's unreal. I don't like the fact that the game doesn't give you an inkling of what you're supposed to be looking at or for. Like, it is a super slow start, and maybe it's meant to be to confuse you, but when you're jumping through like 4 different like decades worth of movies, and then all of a sudden you're like, because it's me, it's like, no, I want to get everything from Ambrosio, then I want to get everything from
sure. Yeah, and that's not how the game's going to tell its story.
Exactly. And that's fine. That's the choice it makes, and I'm perfectly fine saying I don't like that choice.
Right.
So I had sorry.
It's okay. I was just going to say the main thing that bothered me is the directionless nature at the beginning of the game. Like, because I put 6 hours into it before I even made any headway into what I'm supposed to be quote unquote doing. It's like, come on, like just one piece of text saying, hey, this is a situation, you might want to look into it, which is why I think I might have to go back and play something like Her Story. Same director, similar concept, but with an actual goal.
Right.
So I was in the same boat as you, but I played for 2 hours and then I quit to the main screen because I'm like, I had not read anything about the game. I just knew it was an FMV game by the Her Story game, so I wasn't sure what I was solving for.
Right.
And on the main screen, if you go to About, it finally gives you freaking context for what's happening. It's, they made this movie in the 60s, and then they made this movie 30 years, or like a decade later, and then another movie like almost 30 years later.
68, 72, and 99.
Yeah, this woman has seemingly stayed the same age the whole time. None of these movies were actually released. And I'm like, oh, okay, so here's the mystery I can start unfolding.
Right. Melissa Marcel disappeared in 1999 after making 3 movies that didn't get released. What happened to her? Yeah. This is interesting because I feel like this is I 100% dug this game. I think largely because of I like when there's kind of a disjointed narrative that very slowly starts to come together. Like, I think one of the things I really like about this game that's going to push nearly everybody away immediately is the clips that you're typically going to be running into, like, right after the tutorial clip. Because they have that very first clip where it pops up and says, here's how you rewind, here's how you jump in and stuff. As soon as that's over, typically the next couple of clips you're going to get are badly acted in a way that I thought are funny, because it's like, it seemed to really be leaning into the like B-movie nature of these movies and this kind of like really cheap kind of schlocky production of the movie. It's hard to talk about this game because it's a game that's being produced to make a film that is making other films. But like, I liked the kind of slowly unveiling narrative of here's how all three movies are being made, and the questions of, I keep seeing these same people, especially Melissa and John, throughout these different contexts and these different decades, and they all kind of look the same, and they're all kind of revolving and orbiting around each other. And then the very first time that you see the subversive clips was a genuinely shocking thing. I had no idea about any of that stuff before starting this game. And seeing like the frames blink out and two totally separate people are bombing around in the scene is just like, what? And then once it's over, the scene just keeps playing by itself normally. I was like, what the hell just happened? Who were those people?
Such a good moment. So like I agree with everything you said, Boston. Like once I read the about section and had like context for exactly what the situation was, it was kind of a cool unraveling. And I honestly, I kind of enjoyed uncovering the plot lines of the three movies, because the first couple scenes you get from them, you're like, oh, this is just going to be X, Y, and Z. And then as you get more scenes, you're like, oh, there's more subversive stuff here. And then if you're like me, you're like, I wonder if any of these were real. And you search for Ambrosio and find out that it's actually a real story from the book called The Monk.
Yeah, it's a real book, yeah.
Which surprised me. I don't think the other two are, but I would watch those movies, as heart-wrenching and horrible as they would be to watch.
well, and I think the game really nails the feeling of all three of those movies. Like, Ambrosio is this, it came out in 1968. It feels very much like kind of the last gasp of old Hollywood. Like when you see the rap party where they're on stage and the guy who plays Father Ambrosio is talking to the crew and everything, and they call the director out on stage. That was the first time I saw that director, and as soon as you see him, I'm like, all right, this is this dude's last movie. He was probably huge in the 40s and 50s. Like, this is the last gift. And then you look at Minsky, and that's very much like a 70s drug-fueled, barely held together slasher thriller kind of thing. And then Two of Everything is very much this kind of like Sandra Bullock-esque sort of late 90s thriller sort of thing that you can tell they were going for a very specific, like, whoa, which one was Maria and which one wasn't? Whoa, like that sort of thing. And I think they really nailed the feeling of all three movies. And I agree with Musim. I like how you were getting 2 or 3 sides of the plot of the movie. So like we're getting rehearsals, you were getting table reads, and you're getting behind the scenes and actual shots of the movie. And I like that you're kind of getting different sides of each story at different points in time, which I kind of dig.
Yeah, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Or I'll remember it later.
I
it
go ahead.
It's hard to talk about. Like all the rewind scenes are amazing. When you said the point of the game was to find out what happened to Marissa, it occurred to me that like I don't necessarily know. I just know that this being kind of possessed this person's body. Like she kind of talks about how you get flashbacks of it, and it seems like someone dies each movie. Like she's some sort of vampire type thing. And it seems like there was another one that like I couldn't really get who the other one. Like he was obviously possessing someone in a few of these movies, and I was never 100% sure which one he was.
In the first, in Ambrosio, he eventually possessed John, the one that Marissa sort of hooks up with behind the scenes. He's still John in the second movie, and he's a little bit of Carl, the main actor, the cop guy. And then in the third movie, he is Amy, who is the wife of the super rich JFK guy in the movie. Because she, I really love this game. Just to put that out again. I have a lot of problems with where this story goes. My initial read on this movie, before you really find out who the one and the other one are, is that Marissa herself was kind of orchestrating these accidents behind the scenes in these movies to take revenge on all of these men that are sort of taking advantage of her sexually throughout all these things. Like, if you look at a lot of how Marissa behind the scenes is interacting with and reacting to a lot of these people that are kind of taking advantage of her, I thought it was this cool, like, throughout the decades revenge story. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm into this. Like, kill that dude who, like, at the beginning of Minsky, like, one of the first clips, she's sitting there and getting painted. And the guy who was originally supposed to play Minsky is like, oh, while you're frozen here, I'm going to take advantage to steal a kiss from you. And I was like, gross. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, yeah, he's next on the chopping block, right? He quits instead like a big baby. But I thought that was going to be the story. So I was a little bit disappointed until the very, very, very end by the one and the other one story we got. But I think the way that they unveil it by kind of giving you a peek between the frames and for what's really happening, I think was neat. I think the controls are not as intuitive as they need to be. I think having to flick the right stick to move things I like clicking the left stick to go to the start of the clip and clicking the right stick to go to the end of it. I think that's really smart. But it never felt as natural as it needed to, flicking the right stick to like go forward and back faster or slower. It's almost one of those things where it's like, just use the shoulder buttons. Like if I click in the left stick or the right trigger once, it's 1x forward. If I do it another time, it's 2x forward. Like, treat it more like Netflix and less like I'm at a production console and I'm spinning the wheel on it. Like, that's not a thing that 99% of people out there are doing. We're interacting with Netflix. So, like, the idea that we'd have to do that kind of never... And trying to spin the right stick to like spin the wheel on the production console never worked, because that switches between skipping frames and going forward and backward. Like, it never felt as precise as it needed to be. And
I didn't even know it worked that way till you said it just now. I literally would just, if I wanted to get somewhere faster, I would just keep pushing it this way, and eventually it would start like skipping or going faster, and I
think that's such a problem.
Rhyme or reason to it. But.
Yeah, and they tutorialize it, but in text, it doesn't make sense. And I felt like I didn't really get a good grasp on it until I was like halfway through the game. And I really needed to, because I was trying to scrub through footage when that song started playing and the controller was vibrating. Like, I'm trying to scrub through to lock the footage in correctly to see the subversive stuff. Easily my biggest problem with this game is the method for unlocking clips. There are 200 some clips in this game. I have completed Ambrosio, I think. And I'm not going to finish the rest of them as much as I really want to see it, because I don't know how to get... number one, I don't know what clips I'm missing. And number two, I don't know how to get from one point to another. I can go through every scene and click on the clapperboard, or click on John's face or Marissa's face or somebody's face in literally every scene until I stumble onto another one. That sucks. That's no fun.
It's so random. Like,
right.
Because like I have like looked at flowers.
Yep.
And like I've got like the same 4 scenes to do with flowers, and then just loop back to that, and then after a while I'll click on a different flower, and it'll loop through 2 of those, and then to a brand new one. It's like, wait, what?
Right, like what? How did I get there? And I was looking for clip lists online, because a lot of people have done a lot of really good work on trying to gather all the clips and like how to try to unlock them. And a lot of them are like, here's clip 18C from Ambrosio. You can get here by clicking on flowers or a rosary or candles or blood or a wings or a knife. And it's like, from where? Like, how am I supposed to, like, I really want to see everything of this game, especially after getting like the final ending, but I just don't want to go through like the busy work, I guess, to find all of these clips without knowing, 1, what I'm missing, or 2, what I'm supposed to even be looking for.
Well, honestly, that's what I felt like. I felt like a lot of my time with this game was just busy work with no, because I'm fine with busy work. I'm an achievement hunter. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything I play is busy work.
Right.
Like, I'm fine with that as long as I have a purpose and a goal. And at the same time, like, I'm fine with, in other cases, I don't know if it's just this particular game, but I'm fine with the disjointed and out of place storytelling. I give you the Return of the Oberdin as the best example of that ever in the history of video games.
Yep. And a very thematically similar game to this one, of like this. But the thing with Oberdin is the ship came back empty. Go find out what happened. Great. And this one is Marissa and Marcel disappeared. Watch some movies. Like, there's a very clear difference between objectives there, which I think I was okay to take the ride for, and I was kind of having fun not knowing anything, but I 100% see where you're going, which is like, and I'm doing what? Like, I'm heading towards where? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe a good design choice for them would have just been to keep the open nature until you get like 20 or 30% of the clips, and then be like, you've unlocked the storyboard, and then you can see, like, they just show a timeline of all the clips, and so you can see a bunch of blanks at least to try.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest something like that. Like, once you see the true ending where the one is talking to you and crying after the grid of clips disappears and it's just her face.
Crap! I got that. It would not let me do anything. I pressed every single button on the controller, and all I could do was go up and down. So I quit the game and started it up again.
Oh, no.
So that means I did not see that ending. Like, it was very creepy seeing the face.
Yeah, essentially what happens is, like, once you clear that entire grid of clips, she's speaking directly to you as the person holding the controller and saying, like, I have found another person and I can continue to live. Because like the very last clip you unlock from 2022 is the one where the other one inhabiting Amy's body burns Marissa's body, which inhabits which the one is inhabiting, which in a triple reverse clip of the very first clip from like the 1967 or 66 clip on the talk show. If you keep rewinding that and you keep going through the subversive clips, you find out that that's the only way to kill one of these ones is by burning them, which is another really great effect I like, where you're diving deeper into these clips and the quality of them is degrading. Like someone has copied it from like one VHS tape to another, and it starts looking worse and worse and worse, and I really dig that.
It's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
That's right.
Critical Miss is available on Patreon.
That's right. But I agree with you. Like, I sort of wish once you have seen that final clip, which seems to be considered the ending, I really wish it would have just filled in the timeline of clips, and even if it's just a black and white photo and like, here's an Ambrosio clip, and it's like, here's Ambrosio 34A, and it has a black and white picture of a rose, I can go, cool. Now I need to know, I'm going to go find flowers or roses or something from elsewhere in the game, and maybe that will lead me to this one. Or maybe there's a clapboard from 2 of Everything that says 34A on it. I'll click on that one and maybe that will take me. But otherwise, I just have no idea until that achievement popped whether or not I have completed the movie or not. And I think that that's, as someone who's enjoying all of this content, and I want to see, because you never, I think a smart way, you never get the full movie unlocked, but you can put together the entire movie through rehearsals and behind the scenes and takes and costume stuff and all that stuff. But it's just, I wanted to see all of it, but I felt like the game had its hand on my face and was just like pushing me back, being like, nope, nope, nope. And that's really frustrating.
Man. I'm gonna have to look up to see if I can trigger that scene again. That really bothers me. Like,
yeah,
like I stayed on that screen for 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out. Like, her whole face took it up, and I couldn't get it to do any. Anyway, sorry.
that's a bummer.
I will.
Hopefully, that's not a bug.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, I really liked it. According to my Xbox achievements, I spent about 9 hours in it, and unlocked like 310 out of 1,000 points for the score on it. But,
yeah, I spent probably around that same amount of time, and I have 3 achievements left. Or sorry, 4. One of it. 2 for each movie that I haven't completed, 1 for unlocking all of the movies, and then 1 for watching all of the subversive clips. I can't get all of those because I don't have all the clips. So
I will say I do like the random achievements that pop up. Like
you got all the guns, you got all the art. Like,
every movie needs a key. Was a good one.
Yep.
But my personal favorite one was the dove.
Yes.
And Ambrosio.
I really like, there's the scene where the bird is flying above the lady when she's by the bathtub, and like when you take a clip of that, it leads to the earthquake scene in Ambrosio where he's like, all right, start the bird, and this terrible crappy bird swings by, and the director's like, get me a real bird. Like, it's just there's a really good line.
The achievement descriptions as well have some great backstory into that, because they actually said the director always loved the idea of the devil as a dove.
Mm-hmm.
Ha 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 ha. Could never get that thing to fly properly though.
Yep.
Like, did a big achievement description to actually build out lore into the game.
Yeah, they did a really great job on a lot of that stuff. And I do have to say, the counterpoint to my earlier part, a lot of the scenes that you unlock at the beginning of the game are kind of purposely poorly acted, but a lot of the stuff you unlock at the end of the game are really, really well acted, especially by the woman who's playing Marissa. Like, there's some really good stuff on her, especially some pickup shots from Ambrosio that are really good, and I wish some of that stuff had appeared at the beginning of the game to, like, looking at some user reviews, seeing a lot of like they're worth virtually nothing. But there have been a couple of people that I think leverage good criticism of, if you don't like B movies and you don't kind of appreciate the funniness of kind of schlocky genre movies, I think you can be pushed off early in the game, like within the first hour of it, not only being kind of aimless, like we've been talking about, but being purposely poorly acted, and like everybody has a really terrible wig in this movie, which is really great. And I think that stuff can push you away really early, which I think is a pretty valid criticism.
Yeah,
but I really liked this game. Just as my closing thoughts here, I really liked this game, and it's going to be an understandably divisive game, like we kind of get every once in a while, where, you know, if it clicks with you, it will probably all the way click with you. You will see it all the way to the end, and you'll kind of dig through as much as possible. But man, I kind of don't blame people that kind of dip out in the first hour and call it a day and say like, look, I don't like FMV games, which is totally legitimate. Go play Late Shift. Late Shift is very good. Or like, I don't like the direction this game is taking. I don't like the content, any of that stuff. Like, I think all of that stuff is totally understandable, but for whatever reason, it just 100% clicked with me.
I wish they would have gave the subversive clips a separate log, like that you could just access at any time. Like, I favorited a few of them, but it was really difficult to remember like where everything was, and I would have enjoyed watching that. And if they have not given you, Boston, the ability to watch Ambrosio in order,
right?
I feel like that is something they probably should have done too. That I can't imagine would have been that hard to program. Like, comparing this to Her Story, they've come an incredibly long way in their presentation and controls.
Yeah. And also, like, how impossibly difficult must this game had to have been to make, not only as like a non-linear kind of adventure discovery detective game, but also as a production studio that's making a movie, a set of 3 movies that is about making a set of 3 movies behind the scenes and rehearsal, and like because let's think about how they're shooting this thing. They're going in front of the camera.
Needed 2 clappers.
They're clapping. To then start a fake clapper. Like that, the amount of like production work that this must have had to go through, like, is just mind-boggling. It's incredible.
So, you know, one more thing I really enjoyed about the movie or the game that I thought was kind of subtle. Each movie era had its own theme music that was unrelated to what scene was playing.
Yes.
And it weaved in and out of those seamlessly. Like, it was basically like I was paying attention just because I pay attention to music a lot. And so I thought it was very subtly and well done.
Well, and to that too, they had the subtitle styles are different. Like the types of cameras they're using are understandably are different, but they really recreated, like in 2 of everything. The movie itself is really well shot, and rehearsals are kind of okay in some ways, but like the behind the scenes stuff is very much like one of those Sony Handycam kind of like home movies ones that they're just kind of using, you know, one that probably recorded to a CD. And I think they recreated that stuff really well.
Yeah.
Moon, what
I
are
like
your...
the fact that they mix in rehearsal stuff as well. It's not just the movie stuff. Like, they'll have rehearsals and you know, everything else.
They have like a chemistry test on Ambrosio. They have like dress fittings and stuff. Like, there's some cool stuff. I like that the presentation of the game is a chronological display of the production of the movie rather than a chronological display of the movie. So like scenes are out of order, and you know, in Minsky they kind of infamously shoot the ending first, and then the lead actor, quote unquote, accidentally dies before the movie can be shot or before it can be finished. So it's interesting.
I really so I just want to mention my favorite subversive scene.
Sure.
Or at least the favorite one I've found. I have not found them all. It is the original tryout where Marissa is trying out with that original director. And you hit rewind, and she puts the director on the stand. And just
how old am I? How old are you?
Yeah.
Yep.
God, it was a good, strong moment. It was like my perception of the director up to that point was, he just seems like a jovial whatever dude, not really thinking like he's making this really perverted movie.
Yeah, and it's like very much his movie, and like his child is this movie, and it's like, oh, that's kind of. I did really like a lot of the subversive scenes where all the actors walk off screen, and then when they come back on screen, it's the one and the other one, or like the one and like Detective Goodman are on screen and they're interacting. I don't know why. I'm always a sucker for this. But I really like the scenes, especially the second like talk show interview scene where you can get subversive on that. And the one and the talk show host are asking have the same lines as they do with the regular clip, but they're delivered differently by the two of them, which gives them a different meaning. And I really, really like when that happens, where like the one is delivering the normal lines with the regular actor, but it kind of takes a different kind of context to it. And I really appreciated that.
It really is mind-blowing that they somehow told a story through the scenes of other movies. Like that is a huge feat. It took some in-between dialogue and things like that, but the amount of like just those few seconds of the different actors' reactions before and after shots like saved so much of that, I don't know. I may like every once in a while piddle around in this and see if I can unlock the rest of it or trigger the ending again, but I do really like this. I just wish it was a little bit more. I almost wish it went like they found like a third or fourth way to go subversive. Like I feel like I found one or two scenes where the subversive stuff like did have another layer to it. But I didn't write them down, so I don't specifically remember those circumstances or whether I was just getting the controls confused.
Right. It was easy on those subversive ones because they reversed the controls in there, which is maddening, and I don't think they should have done that.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, it was yesterday when I realized, I can just click this left once and it'll just play the whole clip backwards. I don't have to hold it down the whole time.
Oh, yeah. And controls could be improved a little.
I kept getting a glitch too, where I would switch scenes and my controller would just continuously vibrate until
I'd have that too. You pause and unpause, and that would usually fix it. But sometimes I wouldn't get audio, so pause and unpause that, and then everything would be fine. Yeah. Moon, what are your final thoughts here for Immortality?
I will continue to try and give it another shot. I don't think this is a game for me. I love FMV games. I'm the one who punches Boston towards Wales Interactive. Like
you're the modern champion of FMV games. Like you're saying, is I think FMV games do have a probably not totally unearned reputation from the the mid 90s of being bad. But a lot of the modern FMV games are really good, especially the ones that are coming from Wales Interactive.
And you can't sit there and tell me that God of War and the what are they called? The horror games, the anthology, the Dark Pictures anthology.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me that they're not FMV games with a little bit of paint over the front of them based on performance capture.
Yeah, like The Quarry and Until Dawn, especially, where it's like these are very famous actors they have captured. So they're like 1 degree removed. Yeah,
just FMV games. Luis, stop headbutting my microphone. Like they're just modern day FMV games, I think.
Yep.
I don't know. I might continue to try. I might not. There's just so much about this game that just pushed me away a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a prickly experience at times, I think, and I think that does the game a lot of disservice.
For me, probably it wasn't. It also wasn't helped by like us doing this so late in the year when it's like, don't give me a non-direction. I've got 7 other games that I've got a month and 2 weeks to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah. All right. Well, that's our final game here for 2022. Before I talk about our next game, I want to remind everyone that we will have a special episode next month for December. We're going to have our Game Club of the Year 2022, as I forgot we called it that last year, which I was giggling to myself earlier. So we're going to be doing that next month. Check that out on the feed and YouTube. But our next game is going to be another Game Pass game here, Pentiment. Came out on Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. Is available on Game Pass. This is Obsidian's new ancient Latin stylized murder mystery. So go check that out on Game Pass and everywhere. That's Pentiment. And we will see you all next month. Bye.
Boy.